Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Snap Material Podcast. We're back. It's me, Jesse Starcher, and that's Evan Bevins sitting right over there. We're going to be talking some Marvel Snap here for November of 2024. Evan Bevins, are you ready to talk some Marvel Snap?
I'm pretty much always ready to talk some Marvel Snap. Unless you want to talk politics.
I was thinking, let's do that. Okay, then. Yeah, let's stick to Marvel Snap. Oh, man. So we just got out of Are Venom, and we had some experiences. We're getting ready to get into the next season, which is called War of the Nine Realms.
Kind of bothers me because they made a whole big deal about introducing a 10th realm a while back.
Really?
Yes, the most famous inhabitant of that 10th realm was a original Snap card, Angela.
Oh, how long ago was that?
Not long after Neil Gaiman celebrated winning his copyright lawsuit against Todd McFarlane by selling her rights to Marvel.
Okay. All right, then. We're also going to get into what our thoughts were for the meta last month, pretty much, and then what we've unlocked. We have a special top 5, of course, where we are going to discuss our top 5 cards of the year. So going from November of 23 up until now, November of 24. We'll have a list for you here, and we'll see if we have any overlap when it comes to that. I have a feeling we're going to have at least one. At least one. That's my guess. But
probably so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's talk about
last season. When is Quicksilver not a card of the year?
Right. All the additions they do with that card, every little buff, every little nerf, Quicksilver is always...
He had a moment.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about last season. So We Are Venoms. The season started October 1st of 2024. Hey, just to let you know, I bought the season pass for the first time since I've ever played Snap last season.
Oh, so how'd that work out for you?
Well, it actually didn't. I got a lot of cards as far as variants go, but I got Agent Venom, our premier card.
I missed that gold.
Oh, yeah, man. I could tell that I was getting a lot. You pay the $10, you get a little bit extra. Each time you go up a level, it's kind of nice to have that gold, those extra variants. This was probably the season to do it in because it was an extra long season. I don't know if it's just because we had 5 weeks in the month. It was much longer, so you could sit there and get through all, 50 levels?
50,
when you get up and then after that, everybody gets whatever. But regardless, I enjoyed myself, got the premier card, got Agent Venom, 2 cost, 4 power. On reveal, set the power of all cards in your deck to 4. So I assume this season you abstained. You did not get the season pass?
I set this one out. I may have gone a little overboard at a sale at a local comic shop.
Oh, man. And I wanted to get there, too. And I didn't get the chance to go. But I understand.
Well, I accidentally got an extra copy of Excalibur number 92.
Set it aside. Set it aside.
I haven't read it yet, but I'm pretty sure Joy Boy's not in it.
Well, all right. I guess I'll take it. So Agent Venom, I got the card shortly after we finished our show. Okay. I hopped on there, got the season pass. The first thing I thought of was like, okay, I'm going to throw him in a Cerebro deck.
That's what we talked about on the last show.
I wasn't having much luck with him in the Cerebro deck. As much as you'd like to change all these to 4, if he doesn't show up for quite a while, plus you can't play him until turn 2 anyway. But if he doesn't show up for a while, then you're kind of out of luck. And usually it's a C2 deck, not a C3, so your power is kind of limited. Plus, C3 decks tend to be situations that you can get out of with specifically, oh my goodness, Magic or Scarlet Witch. Locations really impact you there. Mm-hmm. So I remember putting a Cerebro deck together and just wasn't impressed. However, he did go into my Sera Surfer deck, and that helped. I noticed a big difference because it was specifically situations where I could lay out Agent Venom and turn the Brood into 4 power. The only one that gets downgraded is Copycat. She has a 5 power, and if she's in the deck, she turns into a 4 power. The rest of them are all bonuses. But so I liked them. Right in my Sera Surfer deck, and that, like I said, more to come about that in the meta. How did you fare? Did you see him?
I saw him, decent amount of the time. I never went, oh crap, it's Agent Venom. But a couple times I did go, wait a minute, how'd they get that card boosted up to a 4 as it sits next to Agent Venom? I haven't gotten any more observant over this past season. Like, what the heck? They have Forge or something? But I saw him. I saw where he could be useful. Certainly, Brood is a good one. Iron Man, things like that. I should have done a little bit more research on this. I saw a discussion on Reddit where they said that the developers were trying to get away from big bad cards or something like that. So, and I think they've done a lot of that is get them in where they can be useful and work with others, but it's not a game changer.
Well, next up was Scream. 2 cost, 2 power, and I just noticed your note here that they buffed her to a 3.
I forget what the logic was on that because I didn't need any incentive to start using her.
When an enemy card moves, steal 2 power from it once per turn. I hated seeing her on the board because I knew that, okay, well, any strategy that I have on laying out cards in specific locations is out the window because this person is going to move my cards in some way. So I usually, as soon as I saw Scream in my Sera Surfer deck, set Red Guardian. So I was like, well, that's where that's going because I am not, I need to get her knocked out as soon as possible because she definitely impacted some games. So,
although you've kind of messed me up here because one of my things is whenever you say this card presents a problem, I go, well, have you tried Red Guardian? So now I'm just going to have to jump straight to complaining about the High Evolution.
Well, after so many podcasts, a man learns something. Trust me, I've tried Red Guardian. So yeah, what'd you run into?
I got her with my first key. So nice. I ran into her plenty, but I used her plenty in a deck called Move It and Lose It. Scream, Craven, Kingpin. To take advantage of all those moves, Polaris, Spider-Man, Stegron, Cannonball, Arrow, to move them around. It took me a day or two to go, oh, maybe I should put Magneto in that. I don't know why. Somebody did it to me, and I'm like, yeah, why am I not doing that?
Right.
That one, that worked out pretty well. I had a lot of success with that deck.
Even with Luke Cage, I mean, really, you're saving yourself if you've got Luke Cage up against Scream, but her power's still going up. So, she's got quite an upside to her.
Oh yeah. Right. I saw her plenty. Okay. So at least I knew what to expect.
Next up would be Misery, 4 cost, 7 power. On reveal, repeat the on reveal abilities of your other cards here, then destroy them. Misery is a girl, right?
Yes.
Can't remember. When she was being used and it was in a no fun deck.
She's not a girl, but not yet a woman.
Gotcha. Regardless, they upset me whenever they were played. I'll put it that way because usually in the no fun deck, and it was not very common, but the few times that I did see Misery was in a no fun deck, and it was no fun. I was retreating after seeing them show up there because usually by turn 4 or turn 3, if they're able to get him out there with Misery out there with Psylocke, it's just like, okay, well, I have every card costs like 2 more than it should now, and then they've just stole 2 of my deck or destroyed 2 of my deck with Yondu and Cable and all that. So anyway, that was kind of my experience. Not very prevalent, but out there enough to where it kind of upset me sometimes when Misery's being played. How about you?
I saw her a few times, never had much of a problem with her. And they buffed her up to an 8 as well. Cool animation, cool concept. I took 1 shot at her, but missed with the spotlight key, and I was saving up for later, so I didn't try again. Like I said, it's another one that synergizes with a lot of other cards, but isn't, game breaking by it. I think I probably did get hit with a couple Yondus or Icemen, but I never got hit too hard by it. I didn't get the feeling she was a focal point in a lot of decks, just an added feature in the ones I faced anyway.
Right. All right. Next up on the list is Scorn. This is the second highest card that I wanted. When you discard one cost, 2 power. When you discard this card, return it to your hand and give +2 power to itself and one of the cards in play. My original note here from last time was talking about Mystique and Gambit. Anytime you see Scorn, that's what to expect. I didn't see that a lot. I saw it one time. But if you saw a discard deck, Scorn was usually in it. People were making use of Scorn a lot. I think I may have took a shot on it, but I didn't get Scorn. So that was kind of my experience. Anytime I ran into a discard deck, it seemed like Scorn was part of it every time.
Oh, yeah. she quickly became a go-to. I think I lucked into her on the first or second key.
Nice.
I got back on some of my luck a little bit. I think I used a couple keys and tokens to finally get Scarlet Spider, so I was due. But yeah, I tried her in a lot of different decks. Used her in High Voltage, which we had for about a week. But yeah, she quickly became. I mean, she's one of those. Why wouldn't you put her in a discard deck? I did have Gambit. I don't use Mystique a lot. I don't trust Mystique. She never worked out well for me. That could just be a me problem. Colleen Wing is a good one with her. She also I kept trying to merge discard decks with the Collector. Since Scorn and Apocalypse come back.
Right.
Swarm. Even got Dakin in there a few times because he creates a card and then you discard a low card. So I tried her a few different ways. I mean, she's not always going to make a difference, but you get the right string of things and she starts adding up pretty well.
For sure. Because
yeah, I found her quite useful.
Next up on the list is Toxin, 2 cost, 1 power. On reveal, return your other cards here to your hand, plus 2 power for each returned. Now, this is the one that I was able to acquire. I think I spent 6,000 on this one. I might have tried to use a key or two and ended up having to use tokens anyway. I ended up getting Toxin, and I was like, okay, I've got this great idea. I threw it into a no-fun deck with Beast. And that was kind of fun. I think my original idea of a combo was to throw out a couple cards and then beast them back. One of the first combos I did was really strange. I threw out a couple no fun cards, beasted them back. If I remember correctly, I threw out, because Beast brings them back their lower cost, right? I then took those cards and threw them into the center and Toxined Beast back to my hand, and then beasted those again. It's nice to have like 0 cost cards, but they were all 1 cost in the first place, so they're not going to make much of, as far as power goes, much of an impact, but it can really get aggravating for the other players. I was able to pull that off maybe once or twice, beast them back to my hand, and then Toxin Beast, and then throw those 2 cards out and then beast again. That was kind of nice, but I did not I thought, oh boy, this will be the new deck. This will be the deck I get. Nope. I probably used it for like 3 or 4 days and I was done. So as far as Toxin goes, I spent some tokens for it, and I really don't know if it was worth it. At least I haven't found the right combo yet to make him something big. But anyway, you run into Toxin at all?
I got him too. I think it was maybe second one. Like I said, I had a good stretch that came to an end, but I got him. I tossed him in with Beast and started using your pal Shanna, the She-Devil. Since Toxin doesn't decrease them when you throw them back, and Beast does, I was relying on a lot of 1 costs in there or low cost cards. And when you're doing that, you may as well have Marvel Boy in the mix. Put Hawkeye in there to get some others. Yeah. Just said that one to you. And then with all those 1 costs, you got to have Kazar in there. And then if Marvel Boy's boosting them up, Silver Sable too, Toxin gets boosted, then Gilgamesh is good to come back in. Everybody keeps jumping back in the hand. Collector. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this looks pretty cool. Why didn't I use that more often? I guess I just didn't have a lot of success with it, or I don't know, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I need to try that again.
Bishop is one I didn't have in the deck. I don't know why I didn't. I had Collector. I'm not
sure why I've got Zabu in there, because I've only got Kazar. But I don't know. Need to tweak that. I'm sure there's another one I can get in there. In fact, we might talk about one candidate here in a minute.
Yes, indeed. That would be Agony. 1 cost, 2 power. After you play a card here, merge this with it. And I remember, I don't know if my opinion's changed yet, but Agony was the prize for High Voltage, correct?
The penultimate prize. That's grand prize was an Ibn Coelho variant of Iron Man, which he's killing it on art for the Fantastic Four that Ryan North is writing. Once you have the Silvestri Iron Man, all the other Iron Men are just kind of secondary, in my opinion. But yeah, I see your note that Agony really got you excited.
Yeah, nothing really changed for me. I still haven't found the use for Agony last time we talked. I still haven't had a chance to put her to really good use as much as I want to. But what are your thoughts on Agony?
I actually found it to be pretty useful. I was looking at, there's so many 1-cost cards with cool effects. I was kind of putting her, before I got the card, in the category of Elektra. I could see where this would be useful, but I'm probably not going to keep trying. she works in a lot of places that I was not expecting. I went back to my Patriot deck that has a lot of ongoing cards to boost Ultron drones and things like that. So I use the gold background, so I call it Booster's Gold.
Oh yeah.
And eventually I'm like, well, that's a deck where I'm if everything works out right, I'm filling up every lane. So why not have a card out there that can boost somebody up and give me an extra space? I put her and Hulkbuster in it. Was it you that told me, or was it somebody else? If you play Agony, then you play Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster merges with Agony, but then the next card you play, Agony merges with that. So you can give them a +5.
No, I didn't know.
And then when you put that in with Scarlet Spider, it only took me a month to realize, hey, his clone, that's a card with no ability. So that one gets a Patriot boost. So you can have two 12 power Scarlet Spiders on there if you play your cards right.
Okay.
Yeah, so they got into my Booster's Gold deck. I actually took out some of my other filler cards because I'm like, well, it used to be just all about boosting up the Ultron drones, but now I got Doom in there. I got Scarlet Spider, and then if you got the Ultron drones, that caps it off nicely. But if not, you got a lot of points to work with, regardless. And where else did I put Agony? There was some other deck I put her in, but like I said, the one we were just talking about, my bounce deck with Toxin and Beast, she could go in there because she'd be another card to give Gilgamesh another +1. And until you play a card on her, Marvel Boy could keep boosting her up.
True.
I just looked at it. I'm like, okay, well, it's a cheaper forge and it doesn't take up a slot. I wasn't expecting anything. And she's not like, oh, I got an Agony deck, you're in trouble now. But she fits with a lot of decks.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to definitely work her into something and just to see what I can do, because this just didn't seem impressive, one cost. But you're right. It's a little bit more versatile than just the taco, because the taco is like laid out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are she's different from Forge. If you played Brood, the extra Broods would come out first at 2 power and then charge. She doesn't work in that regard. But with Scarlet Spider, since he's an activate, you can boost him up and then choose when to use his power.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, she's not perfect, but it's just like kind of a twist on Forge. I used her in some other decks too. Ended up using her in several decks with Patriot. I mean, you get Patriot up to a 3 instead of a 1. She's another one kind of like Silver Sable, where you might have another card that fits what you're trying to do better. But in general, if you want a card to try to get out there on the first turn or boost in power, then she fits right in. Sorry, I just found the other deck I used her in.
What was it?
Islands in the Stream.
Okay. You've mentioned this before, I'm pretty sure.
I went back to Nomura, especially with the change they made to Atuma. So I was trying, again, Nomura gives +5 power to cards that are the only ones at their location. And so that's Agony and Hulkbuster are perfect because you're not wasting points and you're building them up. And so you get her out there, you get some extra cards out there, keep building them up. Now Shang-Chi comes along and ruins your day pretty quick. But yeah, that one, I experimented with that one for a while this season too.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like it would do pretty well. Do you have Deadpool in that one? I mean, anytime I hear Atuma, I'm thinking Deadpool because, Atuma's, you get Atuma out there, you could just keep killing Deadpool over and over until he's above Atuma's, which I think would be a 16.
Yeah. Anytime I hear Atuma, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger in kindergarten.
You and me both. All right.
Just put her down wherever and then drop Namor on there. He goes up to a 12, or a 13.
Not bad at all. Final card in the list, Anti-Venom. 4 costs.
Let's talk about Agony.
4 costs, 7 power. On reveal, set the cost and power of your deck's top card to 0. So this card has, I don't know. It seems I've seen a lot of mixed reaction. Some people hate it and some people love it. I think we obviously knew that Howard the Duck had to be a part of Anti-Venom, but sometimes you may not get lucky. Did I see any decks with Anti-Venom in it? I don't know if I did. Maybe once or twice. I almost wanted to get this card. Getting a 0 cost Iron Man, we talked about this last time. It's not that bad of a drawback if you have Luke Cage in your deck, because I'm just going to cancel that effect out. But if you got Luke Cage on the board, then you're good. You've got a 0 cost heavy hitter. But anyway, did you run Anti-Venom at all?
I ran into him a little bit, and I'm not sure why. I really like the idea of him. And sometimes when I really like the idea of a card, I get it, and it's like, I don't really know. Like, I still am like, I need to get Mobius in some decks. And then I'm like, I need to take Mobius out of some decks. it just that doesn't work for me. But I decided I wanted Anti-Venom. I tried 2 Spotlight keys, didn't get him. And then I'm like, maybe I should just wait. I really want Fenris Wolf next season. I better make sure I have 4 keys when he comes around. I'll try one more. Still didn't get him. And I'm like, well, I may just have to wait and get Anti-Venom later. Getting toward the end of the season, I got 1 more Spotlight key, so I knew I'd get him.
Oh, yeah.
So I got him. And I was like, okay, got all these ideas. So, you got to have Howard the Duck, got to have Luke Cage. And as long as you're going to have Luke Cage, let's put Valentina in there. And as long as I've got Howard the Duck in there, why don't I go ahead and put his original running mate, Iron Lad? And let's see, what else can I do with this? And so I built like a whole Anti-Venom deck, and I can't tell you what was in it because I ended up deleting it. I found other homes for him. A friend of mine said, and I wish I knew who to give the original credit to, that you should maybe give Anti-Venom a try in a Patriot deck. Okay. So I put him in my Boosters Gold deck, and Luke Cage was already in there. And I've got Magic in there because I want to get, ideally, Dr. Doom and Ultron. But what if one of those is 0 cost? Then suddenly you get him out there, and losing Ultron's 8 isn't that great. Losing Doom's 5 isn't ideal, but then you've got 2 other 5-cost cards. And if you got Patriot out there, 5 power cards. They're 7 power cards. And if you got Luke Cage, you don't lose anything. So he's almost a Magic backup with 7 power. So I was using him. I was liking that. And then I'm like, where else do I need a Magic backup or a chance to get another high-cost card in there?
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, what's my old faithful deck? Living Iron Slot.
Living Iron Slot.
Living Iron Slot can work if you don't get the trifecta, but you really need Iron Man, Onslaught, Living Tribunal. I actually kicked Wave out of that deck and put Martyr out in favor of Howard and put Anti-Venom in place of Man-Thing. I liked that because if you get them all, you can fill one location up with Man-Thing, Iron Man, Onslaught, Living Tribunal, and Man-Thing isn't going to hurt them. I had Luke Cage in there because I've got U.S. Agent to knock down if they've got a really high-powered area. I forget who all. I ended up putting Phastos in there because Phastos reduces the cost. It's all about finding other ways to get those cards out there. I revamped it, and that's what I've been playing a lot today. I really like it. Anti-Venom, my whole thing was I can get a 0 cost and then get the power back up of Luke Cage, and that's great, but where he worked isn't a lot. It's just getting that 0 cost out there.
Okay.
Because, Onslaught and Living Tribunal, you don't want to lose a 7 or a 9, but the whole idea is if you get all of those guys together, you're stacking so much power that it's going to be hard to beat you anywhere. It's not going to be quite as huge a wave, but you're still pretty strong, and you've got Anti-Venom out there sporting 7 power of his own.
Interesting.
So, I thought he seemed cool, but it wasn't until my friend suggested the Patriot deck that I'm like, oh, hey, this is really cool. So it's about the cost, not how much power you can sneak in there with Luke Cage. It's about getting a 0 cost card out there. And if it's not a huge amount of power you're giving up, then you can make it work without Luke.
That card took on a life of its own. It seems way different than what we were expecting.
That was just trial and error, not me going, hey, you know what would really work? Me going, oh, okay. It was all about the 0 cost, of course, but I was all about, well, how do I get around that 0 power? To me, now I'm looking at it, it's a bonus. What Anti-Venom does is get a card whose effect I want into my hand and able to get it out even late in the game.
Yeah.
Which is good if you got 2 of those cards you need to get out.
Right. I mean,
don't have a turn 7.
2 or a 5 and a 6 power at the same time on turn 6. You can't complain about that. All right. Well, locations. Our first location for last season was Feast, Feast. After you play a card here, all players get plus energy next turn. At first, I wasn't too hyped up about this. I was like, oh, geez. Mm-hmm. And we also kind of wondered how long the effect was. And what we found out is that it's the whole game, plus the effect stacks at the location too. So if you play 2 cards there and your opponent plays 2 cards there, then everybody gets 4 energy the next turn.
Yeah.
Getting that extra bit of energy for the next turn is always good. I ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I would. Any thoughts on Feast?
Yeah, I always thought, I'm like, oh, I can get extra energy. And I'm like, wait a minute, they get the extra energy too. If I'm being honest, what I really like the best about the feast location is the animation.
With the extra
Where they throw
little
cookies, cupcakes, pizza, whatever. For every extra point of energy, you get a surprisingly detailed bit of food tossed toward your energy repository. It's reminiscent of the high evolutionary thing, chucking fire hydrants and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, right.
Let the record show I mentioned the high evolutionary in a positive context.
Very rare. All right, yeah.
Fill in your bingo card on that one, folks.
Yeah, I got to agree with the animation there. That it is definitely pretty cool, just seeing those bits of food come at you. Very good, very good. All right, and second location of the season was Our Lady of Saints. When your revealed cards fill this, merge them into a symbiote. I knew exactly what I was doing. I think last season I was talking about how I want to use other stuff to fill the location, Legion it if I can, or do whatever. That's pretty much all I did when I was playing with Our Lady of Saints, trying to fill. And I had the one instance where somebody had Patriot out there, and they had to have thought everything was just so great, because as I put out debris, they were probably like, oh yeah, here we go. What's this guy doing? My Patriot's going to give him +2, And that rock ended up filling that fourth slot where Patriot was at, and it merged them all into a symbiote, and the whole ongoing went away. And this guy immediately retreated. It was fun. Not a game changer, but if you want to throw a wrench into somebody's game, especially if they're dealing with ongoings a lot, then you could possibly mess them up a little bit if they played them on Our Lady of Saints. Anything on your end?
I like the idea, but I never did much with it. I forget if I even tweaked my deck at all. I feel like I did one that was a little better with merging. Nomura would have been good to use there, but maybe I was a little distracted with real life or something that day. I just didn't do a lot with it.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you have those locations that just...
I'm no Jesse Starcher.
New location comes along. Okay, Legion, what do you think? Let's take a look at this and see what we can do. I remember it was last season where it's just like, oh my gosh, these locations, it's been so long since I've had a good location, and it impacts the game so much. Our Lady of Saints was kind of like that, but it wasn't very often that I found it very impactful. It could merge things. I ended up throwing a deck together that had Shang-Chi in it and stuff like would fill their side with Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, stuff like that. But yeah, so all right. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That was our discussion on We Are Venom. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.